Let's get right into it. Number 10. The creepy twin you never knew you had. Have you ever had that feeling, that unshakable certainty that you're being watched, only to turn around and find nothing? That's your brain playing a trick on you, but it's a trick with a seriously disturbing origin. It's called the doppelganger effect, and it's a glitch in our visual processing system. Your brain is a hyper-efficient pattern recognition machine. It's constantly trying to predict what's coming next, so it can keep you from getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or run over by a bus. But sometimes it gets a little too efficient and starts seeing patterns that aren't there. We've all seen a face in a cloud or an outlet socket, but this is different. This is your brain accidentally creating a ghost. See, a huge part of your brain is dedicated to processing human faces and forms. It's so good at it that it can sometimes construct a face out of thin air when it gets just a sliver of information. A flicker of movement in your peripheral vision, a shadow on the wall, a coat hanging on a chair in a dark room. These small pieces of data can be enough for your brain to say, "Hey, that looks like a person." The really creepy part is when it happens with your own body. Your brain has a mental map of your body called a body schema. When this gets confused, say by a fever, a lack of sleep, or certain neurological conditions, you can actually feel like there's another person in the room. You can have a vivid, terrifying sensation that a second person is standing right next to you, mirroring your movements. It's not a ghost, it's a glitch. It's your brain misfiring and telling you that there's a second you, a phantom twin, just out of sight. You're not being haunted, you're just a little bit broken. Number 9. Your brain has a spelling bee for pain. Imagine stubbing your toe. It hurts, right? But the amount of pain you feel isn't just about the physical damage to your toe. It's also a complex negotiation happening in your brain. Your nervous system is basically a super dramatic toddler throwing a tantrum. It sends a message to your brain, "We have a code red. The toe is under attack." But before your brain fully processes this screaming red alert, it runs a series of quick checks. It's a bit like a mental spelling bee for pain. It asks, is this a big deal? Is there a reason to be a hero? Is this a paper cut or a shark attack? This is called the gate control theory of pain. Your brain acts as a gatekeeper, deciding how much of that pain signal to let through. If you're a soldier in a battle, your brain might slam the gate shut so you can keep fighting despite a serious injury. If you're a parent with a kid watching, your brain might open the gate wide because a dramatic display of suffering gets you sympathy. This is why a paper cut can feel like a tiny apocalypse when you're bored, but a bad burn barely registers when you're deep in the zone cooking a 5-course meal. Your brain's perception of pain is constantly being rewritten and edited based on context, emotion, and past experiences. The pain isn't just happening to you. Your brain is actively performing a mental tap dance to decide exactly how much it wants you to feel. The ouch is real, but the volume knob is in your head, and it's being controlled by a million little factors you don't even know are there. Number 8. The skin that won't stop crying. Have you ever wondered why your fingers and toes get wrinkly in the bath? You probably think it's because your skin is like a sponge, soaking up water. That's what we all thought for decades. But scientists have found that this is a total myth. Your skin isn't absorbing water at all. It's an active, involuntary response from your nervous system, a deliberate action your body takes for a very specific and surprising reason. Your fingers and toes aren't getting waterlogged, they're getting angry. It turns out that those pruned fingers are a deliberate autonomic response, a bit like sweating or goosebumps. When your hands and feet get wet, your nervous system tells the blood vessels under the skin to constrict or shrink. The skin itself doesn't shrink, so the top layer of your skin gets all loose and wrinkly, a bit like a deflated balloon. What's the point of this weird magic trick? It's all about grip. The wrinkles act like tire treads on a car or the grooves on a sneaker. They're designed to channel water away, giving you a better grip on slippery objects underwater. This is a survival mechanism left over from our ancestors, who spent a lot of time fishing in rivers or scrambling over wet rocks. It's your body's way of saying, I see you're getting wet. Here, have some improved traction so you don't drop the fish you just caught. It's an evolutionary quirk that's now totally useless when you're just trying to take a bath, but it's still there. Your hands and feet are basically crying out, "Let's go catch some food," every time you go for a swim. Number 7. The zombie reflex that keeps you up at night. You know that feeling when you're just drifting off to sleep and suddenly you get a jolt, a violent twitch that sends a shockwave through your body? It feels like you're falling, or maybe you've just been electrocuted by a ghost. This is called a hypnic jerk, and it's a perfectly normal but utterly bizarre part of the sleep process. It's a literal battle for control happening inside your brain. Think of your brain as having two major operating systems, the waking one and the sleeping one. As you fall asleep, the sleeping system takes over and starts to paralyze your muscles. This is to keep you from acting out your dreams and accidentally punching your pillow or running into a wall. It's basically a full-body lockdown. But sometimes the two systems get their wires crossed. Your brain thinks you're falling asleep, but your body isn't fully on board yet. Your sleeping brain starts the paralysis process, but your waking brain misinterprets this as a fall. In a panic, it sends a powerful jolt to your muscles, screaming, "Wake up! We're falling!" It's a primal fight-or-flight reflex that's been hardwired into us for eons, a leftover from when we slept in trees and a sudden fall meant certain doom. So that jolt isn't a sign you're broken. It's a frantic safety check from a confused part of your brain that thinks you've just tumbled out of a tree. It's a relic of our past, a ghostly zombie reflex that reminds you that no matter how advanced we get, our brains are still a little bit stuck in the jungle. Number 6. The inner scream. You can't hear your ears are listening to the world around you, but they're also listening to something else. A constant, low-level hum that's all your own. It's the sound of your inner ear, a constant high-pitched ringing that your brain has learned to filter out. This isn't tinnitus, the condition where you hear a persistent ringing that can be quite loud. This is a subtle, universal phenomenon. Every human on the planet hears it, but most of us are blissfully unaware. To hear it, you have to be in a completely silent room. So silent, it's a bit eerie. We're talking about rooms so quiet they're literally called anechoic chambers. These rooms are designed to absorb all sound, creating a complete and total absence of noise. The quiet is so profound that the only thing you can hear is the sound of your own body. You hear your blood rushing through your veins, your joints creaking, and that faint, high-pitched buzz of your nervous system and inner ear doing their thing. This isn't a problem, it's a feature. The inner ear, specifically the cochlea, is filled with tiny, sensitive hair cells. These cells are constantly firing, even without an external sound. Your brain, being the masterful filter that it is, learns to ignore this persistent background noise. But in a truly silent room, with no external sounds to mask it, the filter stops working. You become aware of the endless, silent scream happening inside your own head. So next time you feel like you're going crazy from the silence, just remember that you're just hearing the soundtrack of your own existence. Number 5. Your body's secret second brain. You've got a brain in your skull, but did you know you have another one in your guts? It's not for thinking about philosophy or solving quantum physics. It's for digestion, and it's a seriously complex and creepy cool network of neurons. This is the enteric nervous system, or ENS, and it's a huge web of 100 million nerve cells that lines your entire gastrointestinal tract, from your esophagus to your anus. Think of it as a super-advanced biological computer that's completely dedicated to one thing: processing food. It's so smart that it can function completely independently of your main brain. Your stomach doesn't need your brain's permission to digest that burrito you just ate. It's got its own operating system. This second brain is the reason for so many of your gut feelings. That knot in your stomach when you're nervous? That's the ENS acting up. It's a two-way street of communication. Your gut is constantly sending signals to your main brain and vice versa. Scientists are just now discovering how deeply this affects our mental health. The ENS produces over 90% of your body's serotonin, a key neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and happiness. So when you're feeling anxious, it could be your gut screaming at you. When you get that weird, fluttery sensation in your belly, it's not just butterflies. It's a tiny, complex nervous system doing its thing. It's basically a fully functional, self-sufficient computer that exists just to deal with your food. You could literally sever the connection between your main brain and your gut, and it would still happily digest your dinner for you. Number 4. The fake memories your brain creates to save itself. Your brain isn't a perfect recorder. It's more like a sloppy biographer with a bad memory and a flair for the dramatic. It doesn't record events as they happen. It records bits and pieces, and then when you try to recall a memory, it fills in the blanks. And sometimes, it fills in the blanks with complete fiction. This is called confabulation, and it's something your brain does to protect you. When there's a gap in your memory, a missing piece of the puzzle, your brain would rather make up a plausible-sounding story than admit that it just doesn't remember. It's a defense mechanism against the terrifying reality of a blank space in your own personal history. This is why eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable. You see a crime happen, and your brain records a few key details: a car color, a piece of clothing, a general sense of panic. But when a police officer asks you to recall the event, your brain starts to fill in the gaps with things that make sense. A red car becomes a red truck. A jacket becomes a long coat. You didn't see a face, but your brain adds a face because a story with a faceless villain just doesn't make sense. The scary part is that you truly believe these fake memories are real. Your brain is so good at this that it doesn't even feel like lying. It feels like remembering. So every memory you have, every story you tell yourself about your past, is a little bit of fact and a little bit of fiction, all blended together by a protective narrator who doesn't want you to have any plot holes in your life story. You're basically walking around with a head full of perfectly believable, self-made lies. Number 3, your brain is a professional ghost hunter. Your brain is a machine designed to find patterns, and it's especially good at finding patterns that don't exist. This is the psychological phenomenon of pareidolia, seeing faces in inanimate objects, hearing voices in static, or finding hidden messages in random noise. But there's a much creepier, more intense version of this. Your brain is hardwired to find and believe in ghosts. It's a deep-seated part of human psychology, and it's called agent detection. It's the tendency to see a person or a thing behind every rustle in the bushes, every flicker of light. For our early ancestors, it was better to be safe than sorry. The rustling in the bushes might just be the wind, but it could also be a hungry predator. It was a more successful survival strategy to assume a malicious agent was present, even when there wasn't one. The cost of being wrong was too high. This same survival instinct is why you get spooked in a dark room. The creak on the stairs? Your brain's first instinct isn't old house settling, it's someone is here. That cold spot in the hallway? It's not a draft. It's a malevolent presence. Your brain is a hyper-vigilant security guard, and it would rather scream ghost at the slightest disturbance than risk missing a real threat. The ghosts you see and the voices you hear in a scary movie aren't just clever special effects. They're the result of your brain's ancient, primal fear of the unknown. Your brain is so desperate to find an explanation for the weird and inexplicable that it will happily invent a spooky one to fill in the gaps. It's basically a professional ghost hunter, and it's working overtime. Number 2, the useless muscle that's still waiting to attack. Most of us have a useless muscle that runs from our wrist to our elbow. It's called the palmaris longus, and about 15% of the population is missing it entirely. To see if you have it, just touch your pinky finger to your thumb and bend your hand up slightly. See that thin tendon popping out? That's it. It's a relic of our evolutionary past. A throwback to a time when we needed to hang from trees. Its purpose was to help us grip things tightly while climbing, and it was a crucial muscle for our ape-like ancestors. But now it's completely unnecessary. It does almost nothing, and you won't miss it if you don't have it. In fact, when surgeons need a tendon for a graft, they often take this one because it's so expendable. The creepy part is that this vestigial muscle is a physical reminder that our bodies are still very much a work in progress. It's a leftover part, an evolutionary footnote that's just hanging out, waiting for a purpose that will never come. It's like a car with a third steering wheel that does nothing. The palmaris longus isn't the only one either. We have goosebumps, which are a useless reflex meant to make our fur stand on end and make us look bigger to predators. And we have wisdom teeth, a whole second set of molars for chewing tough, raw food, which just get impacted and have to be removed now. These aren't just fun facts. They're little bits of biological history tucked inside you, proving that your body is a walking museum of old, discarded ideas. Number 1. The real reason you get chills from music. You've probably felt it before. That shiver down your spine, that wave of goosebumps that washes over your skin when you hear a particularly powerful piece of music. It's an incredibly intense, emotional experience that can feel almost spiritual. But it's not magic. It's a weird biological hack that's been discovered by scientists. It's a deep, powerful connection between your brain's emotional center and a very primitive part of your brain that's involved in fight or flight responses. When you hear music that resonates with you, whether it's a powerful vocal or a swelling orchestral arrangement, your brain's reward center gets hit with a flood of dopamine. It's the same chemical that gets released when you eat a delicious meal or feel a strong sense of joy. But here's where it gets really weird. This sudden rush of pleasure is so intense that your brain literally thinks something is wrong. It misinterprets the massive chemical reward as a physical threat. It's like a false alarm in your internal security system. That flood of dopamine triggers your sympathetic nervous system, the part of your brain that handles your fight or flight response. This is the same system that gets activated when you're in a car crash or are about to get into a fight. It releases adrenaline, increases your heart rate, and causes the tiny muscles at the base of your hairs to contract, giving you goosebumps. It's your brain, in its dumb, panicked way, trying to deal with an overwhelming flood of positive emotion by treating it as a literal threat. So those chills you get from music aren't a sign of its beauty. They're a sign of your brain completely losing its mind in the face of so much joy. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.